Breaking news, Reiss Nelson has signed a brand new contract at Arsenal, which will keep him at the club for the next 5 years. It's done, it's signed, it's sealed. This is great news for a young player that's been at Arsenal since he was a little kid, has come all the way through the academy, and now has finally nailed a big contract. Remember, Reiss Nelson was coming to the end of his contract. Indeed, his contract actually ended, Lee, a couple of days ago. And people were like, well, what's happening? How comes no new deal's been announced? He's effectively not an Arsenal player now. But it's been signed and sealed today, and Reiss Nelson has signed a brand new contract at Arsenal. There were a lot of clubs after Reiss Nelson. I can tell you from my understandings that the team that was really hot on him was Crystal Palace. They saw him as a player that would be able to replace Wilfried Zaha, who could be leaving. There were clubs in Italy that were interested in Reiss Nelson, in Spain, right? But he has and also in Germany as well, but he's chosen to stay at Arsenal. Remember, he would have been available for nothing to a lot of these clubs, but he's earned himself a massive pay rise, said to be towards nearly £100,000 a week, Lee, and this long-term contract. Great news for Reiss Nelson.
Yeah, great news for him, and 23 years of age. Look, he's always been a good prospect for Arsenal. The injuries have hampered him a little bit, but I thought last season, that was the first season he really contributed. You know, coming off the bench, I think he knows he's not going to be in the front three like on a regular basis, but he knows he's going to get his games. And
great impact player, isn't he?
Well, yeah, and when he comes in, he does a job. I even look back at the Man City game last season when we was awful. But he come on and made a difference. I know like the game's probably gone, but he come on and showed a bit, you know, a little bit of substance. And I've quite liked that. And yeah, he's come on and, you know, scored goals against Forest, of course, and you know, the wonder goal against Bournemouth. So I think it's good for him, and it's also good for Arsenal, because it means that if things don't work out next season or whatever, we can move him on for a fee as well. So I think it's good business all round for both parties. Yeah,
the contract's valid until 2027, but they do have something in there that they could take that contract until 2028, so they've got an option for another year. And just some of the quotes that came from Reiss Nelson. He said, "I'm kind of lost for words. I've been here since I was 8 years old. I'm 23 now." Wow, he has grown up in the club. It's been a hell of a journey, and I'm just so happy. My family are Arsenal supporters, so that makes it even more happier. It makes me even more happier. I can't wait to get started for the new season. Edu, on Reiss Nelson, he said, Reiss is still only 23 years old, but has already made a significant contribution to Arsenal for many years. He has gained some good experience on loan, has come back and showed how valuable he can be to us. We are so happy to agree the new deal with Reiss, and we are proud that he's another young player who has developed through our academy into our first team, and that is brilliant again for Arsenal. And Reiss Nelson, speaking about Mikel Arteta's influence on him, he said, "When I came back from loan, he had a conversation with me that he wanted to extend my contract. He's seen a massive change in me, and it was like I'm at a next level, and he feels like there's so many more different levels that I can go to." And again, Mikel Arteta has had a big part to play in this. Because Reiss Nelson, let's be real, you saw him playing some games, you know, League Cup games over the years and various different bits and bobs, and you're like, yeah, looks a decent talent, but looks like one of them players that is not really going to make it at Arsenal. But like he said then, when he came up off of his last loan and he came in, I think it was Nice, was it the last loan? But when he came back to Arsenal, last season, he was electric when he came on. Electric. And just looked like, you know, he wanted the ball, looked aggressive in his play. I hadn't seen that in him before. And I think a lot of that's down to Mikel Arteta. He's just given this kid confidence, because from a very young age, he was considered to be an exceptional talent.
I think he's bulked up as well. I think he's, you know, I was quite surprised when I see him at the beginning of this season. It looked like he'd been doing some gym work and in the weights and everything like that. A couple of years ago when we was at Watford, met his family, they all got the Nelson shirts on and all that, like, so they are all are. So I do think that helps as well, like, you know, that everybody like in his family is connected with Arsenal, so it means that little bit more. And I think that, you know, if you was to say to him, right, you know, you're going to be a Saka replacement, I think that that's, you know, a good thing for us. So people go, oh, he's a downgrade. I don't think that, you know, he's not going to be as good as Saka. We know that, but I think that he comes in, gives us something different. He's more direct. Yeah. He's one of those players that gets the ball, takes a player on, gives that forward line a different dimension. Dynamic. Yeah. So I'm pleased that he signed. I think I think there was always a player in him. I don't think he's fulfilled his quite as much as what through injuries and whatever. But I'm a big fan of his. If I'll be honest.
Coming up through the ranks, speaking to a coach at Arsenal, he was ahead of Saka. He was considered to be the kid that was going to break into the team, but it didn't quite work out for him. As I said, he's been out on a couple of loans. By the way, it was an error what I said Nice. It wasn't Nice, right? The last club he was at, Feyenoord, did really well.
That's right. Yeah.
Did well
Holland,
on that loan at Feyenoord. Remember they got to.
They wanted him, didn't they? They wanted him.
Yeah. So did well at Feyenoord. Remember he went on loan as well to Hoffenheim.
Yeah.
Mixed there, started off well, but then kind of fell away. And as I said, it was starting to look like his career at Arsenal was going to fizzle out, but he stepped it up and he's deserved this contract. And another thing I've got to give it up to him personally and say this is that he could have took the easier option.
100%.
He could have turned around and he could have said, you know what, actually I want to play, I'm going Palace or I'm going to Italy, wherever, I'm going to get a big amount of money, wages wise, probably would have matched anything that Arsenal would have done because they would have been getting him on a free contract. And he could have said, I'm going to go and do that, but he's not said that. He's like, I'm backing myself. I actually want to fight my way into being a first team regular. I want to contribute for this team that I've grown up and come through the ranks for. And I think this is admirable. I like this. I like this attitude. And I think it only bodes well for the future.
Yep.
And again, another player. Look at the profile of the player. 23, Arsenal through and through. Put him in there with your Sakas, your Declan Rices, your Smith Rowes and all this. This is great for Arsenal.
Yeah.
That you've got these players that come through and know what Arsenal are all about.
Yeah, and with every great team, you need a good squad, and you need players, squad players, and they are, honestly are a big thing in football. You know what I mean? Like, don't take them for granted. They come in, they go out. They come in, they go out. You've got to have a fantastic attitude. He seems to have all of that.
Look at Foden at City.
And you need to have that. And when you come in, you have to perform. When he's come in last season, he performed. You know what I mean? He weren't like, what he's done. I remember the game against Bournemouth. I know he got the goal that day, but he come on and performed. When we needed something at Forest, he come on and performed. So every time he's come on, he's contributed. So that shows that mentality. It shows that he's going to go places. I think he needs a run of games and a bit of a good pre-season and all that. And I think he's going to get better and better.
Better and better for sure. So that's the news. He signed a brand new long-term contract at Arsenal. It's great news for him and his family. As Edu says, it's great news for Arsenal as well. Another young player that we've tied down. Great business by Arsenal. They've now tied down Martinelli. They've tied down Saka. They've tied down Reece Nelson. They're tying down Saliba as well. All young players that are not even at their prime yet. This is great news for Arsenal. So well done to Reece Nelson. Reece Nelson, new contract at Arsenal, long-term contract, and we're looking forward to seeing him on the pitch next season in the red and white. Thanks for watching. Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.